Hello, guys. Welcome to ATS Simplify Personal Finance Podcast. Here we talk about personal finance, and you can tune in to get personal finance tips. Hello, guys. Today is 13th of December, the date I was actually born. Okay, that's a weird way to say today is my birthday, but today is my birthday, and I was thinking for this episode I will do a Q&A, but you guys cannot ask questions, so I'm basically just going to be answering questions that I get on some comments that I get across my social media, and not just my comments. A lot of them is actually going to be popular personal finance influencers, their comment section that they never got to answer. That's the thing about being popular. You may likely not answer everybody's questions, but if you are a small, very, very, very small content creator like me, I will be able to answer everybody's question because I don't get that much comments, okay? I don't get that much comments. So, I don't know for now, but by the time this is live, I will have like a option where you can drop your comment. For now, you can't comment directly on Spotify, but I will link a option where you can actually draw a comment or ask me question. I don't know how I will do it, but I'll figure it out by the time this is live. I will be answering questions for my birthday. This is pre-record, Let's go to number one question. Should I save in Naira or USD dollar, which is US dollar? And I keep getting this question a lot, and the answer is simple. You can't earn in Naira, then save in Naira, then still invest in Nigeria stock. It does not make any sense. As a person, your job, or as someone that's trying to protect your wealth and grow your wealth, your job is to protect your money from one country collapsing. So it's something called diversification. When you invest or save in a different currency or invest in a different country stock, you are diversifying your wealth. And this is important, especially in a country where her currency is not very strong. We all know how Naira behaves. Like in our lifetime, my lifetime, I'm very young, I've seen Naira collapse multiple times. It's not strange at all. It's something that has happened in the past. So am I planning to expect it? It's something, it should be part of your reality as a Nigerian to expect your currency to collapse. Okay? Especially when you've seen it multiple times in your lifetime. It's not a new thing. So preparing for this is just you saving in a currency that is stable or saving a commodity that is stable. Like you can save in gold, silver. These are known to be good storage of value. So if you save in gold and silver, your money tends to not inflate because it has been proven to be a good storage of value. But the thing about gold and silver is a commodity that is being traded. If people think the price of gold is too high, it will fall. And if people think the prices of gold is too low, it will increase. So it's not exactly stable. Even if the true value of gold doesn't like inflate, it's also a speculative asset too. So you should understand that. So where you are saving in gold, just know that it should be something long term, like 5 years. In that way, you are sure that your money, by the time you take out your money or by the time you want to use your money, it's not going to be down from when you actually invested or bought the gold or silver bar or coin. We took a break, so I can tell you thank you for listening so far. And if you like this content, do follow us on Spotify and leave a like. And with that being said, let's continue. So when it comes to like saving in dollar, the reason why you should save in dollar because it's just a lot better option than saving in Naira. Yes, it has some inflation rates, but Naira inflation rates is really high, so you will not mind dollar inflation rates. Yes, there are critics against the dollar, and that's why I don't say buy dollar and pour your money in dollar is safe. No, even in America, the US citizens don't hold dollar because they know that's not a way to grow your wealth. Holding dollar is just not safe in the long run in the sense that the money tends to inflate. The other best option if you're going to invest, buying a dollar is not an investment. It's just a way to save money. Maybe in another episode, I will talk about the critics of US currency. For now, the US currency is safer than Naira. So yeah, if you're going to be saving for 1 to 2 years, or even from 6 months to 2 years, buying a dollar is actually safer than Naira. Number 2 question, how do I budget when the price of everything keeps going up? Inability to predict the price of, goods and foodstuff when you go to the market is one of the reality of living in Nigeria. You just need to have a method that helps you to continue saving. So number 1, everyone say you need to continue increasing your income. You should not rely on one income. You should have multiple sources of income, and that's true. But you still can do something with the way you budget or the nature of your budget. One thing you need to do is make sure you stick to a budget at least 3 months. So even if the price of something increase, you have to stick to that budget at least 3 months. So how can you do that? When a price of a good increase, what you could do is just drop that good. You don't necessarily need to have it, but if it's part of the staple crop like rice, garri, beans that are common for Nigerians having that household, you could buy it, but buy a smaller portion, or you could buy an alternative to it. Like there was a time where prices of rice increased. My mom bought more spaghetti during that month. What I'm going to do if rice, for example, increase in price, I'll just buy spaghetti because I've done the calculation. Okay, I know how much they cost. So in a situation where rice increase in a very crazy amount, I can just switch to spag. Simple. That's one way you should do it. You stick to your budget and stay in that budget for 3 months. When one thing increase, you look for another option. But in a situation where everything starts catching up, meaning everything starts to increase, you know how it is. One thing increase, then this increase, then all of a sudden everything is increasing. In that situation, you can adjust your budget and still save something from it. It could drop from 20% to 17%, but you're still saving. Then you stick to that budget for as long as you can. At this moment, you should be considering, having an extra income while you're still trying to manage this particular income. So as it increase, you still save. Like that, you continue. That's my own way of how I manage to budget in, Nigeria, where prices of things just keep going up. Question number 3, how should I save monthly with my small salary? I don't want to make this audio long. I did an episode on this particular topic. You can go check it out. I'll link it in the description below. So let's just go to number 4. Which side hustle can I start with my phone only? There are many side hustles you can actually start. We have affiliate marketing. Even though that one tends you need an audience and you need to create content. That's one thing you need to know about that one. But you have freelancing where you can learn different kind of skills, basically virtual assistants. You have copywriting. You have digital marketing, etc. You can learn those skills and create a profile, then land a gig. That's one way you can start making money with your phone. And some of these skills, when you get one gig, automatically you're going to get recurring gig depending on how you performed. So if you get hired as a virtual assistant, you're going to be in this contract for a very long time. It's not just one. They ask you to like just create a design or create a logo. That's not it. You literally will be working for this company, this person for a very long time before you decide to find another job. Find a skill, a high paying skill, learn it. You have it for, you can literally go and find the best of best, free content out there. You don't have to pay, but you can start with the free content. You can read books, then you can consider going on course, whether paid or free course. So there's so many information on that particular skill you want to learn. All you just need is to choose a skill that you really like and you are willing to learn and adapt and create time to actually develop your skill. There are many side also you could try. Maybe I'll do a separate episode addressing that. Is it true that you need to look rich to get opportunities? I don't know what you mean by look rich. If you mean look presentable, kind of. Okay. If you're going somewhere like church, events, weddings, like meet and greet, those places where there are different people from different walk of life coming, you need to look your best. But would I call that looking rich? You're not wearing brand or flashy watch. It could just be a simple watch with senator, with literally anything. I don't know what you mean by looking rich, but looking presentable, yes. And the thing about this is that if you're meeting someone for the first time, the person is not going to know if you have worn this dress before. I'm not saying this means you start repeating your clothes that you wear it every week, every other week. No. Not that say if you have really few really nice clothes, you can actually look nice and wear those clothes. Like if you have an event this week and you have another event next week, yes, the people in your compound will know that you wore this dress twice. But the place you are going to right now, they don't know you. So they're not aware if you are going to wear this dress again tomorrow or you wore it last week. So use your good looking clothes for opportunities where you're going to be meeting people. So I'm not saying you should wear it too close to church. No, I'm talking about in events that you have never been to before. And most of those people don't know you. For sure. You can wear it again. Okay, you should not be spending so much on clothes. Just buy a few really nice ones. Like, when I mean really nice, like really, really nice ones. You can wear normal, nice looking shirts on a regular day. Like on Sundays, you can wear normal, nice looking clothes, okay? But that's not it. It's not only about looking good. Just because you look good doesn't mean opportunity will approach you. Means that when you meet up with someone, you are more likely to, hold a conversation with the person. The person is more likely to listen to you because you actually look good. You dressed well for the occasion. We can't deny the saying that the way you dress is the way you'll be addressed or something like that. I can't really remember the saying, but we know the saying. The way you dress is going to really affect how people see you or how people take you serious. If you look silly, people would think you're silly. It's important you understand that you need to dress well to enter places and be taken seriously. So now you have gotten into this place where there's opportunity and different people for you to meet and introduce yourself. You have dressed well. You look nice. Anybody that see you will take you seriously. What you need to do is take yourself seriously. You need to walk up to someone and you feel like, okay, you can get something from this person. Introduce yourself, have your script online. That thing that you will say when you meet someone, introduce yourself, your name, tell them what you do, if you are offering a discount, wherever it is. But just make sure you're holding like a nice conversation. Then you not just be like you're the only one talking. The other person should also look like he has something to offer too. After introducing yourself, ask the person what's the person's name. Basically, have a simple dialogue, then exchange contact. A lot of people don't like giving that contact away. Just probably give him a card if you feel the person is of high profile. Don't waste your card on people that are basically looking like you and looking for opportunities to. Don't waste your cards on those people. Just try and talk to the person to add your number. But if you think this person is a high profile person, give him your card. Yeah, just give him your card. You can't convince someone to add your number, especially when the person is of high profile. So there's a difference between looking rich and looking good. Looking rich means you want to like have all those flashy things on. Nope. But looking good is just looking good. Looking well presented should not cost too much. 1, 2. That's not the only thing you need to do. Just looking good is not enough to attract opportunities. Looking good just makes it harder for people to turn you down. Well, who see you, but because you look good, you'll be addressed well. And whenever you have like an opportunity to speak up or say something, they will take you seriously. That's what looking good actually do for you. If you're looking for any banking platform you want to bank with, you can try Fair Money. They have high interest rates, up to 24%, which beats inflation hands down. So you can use my referral link down in the description below. And if you're interested in buying dollar for high interest, RiseInvest is the best platform for you because you get 8% interest on your dollar. And if you're looking to invest in ETFs, whether you want to buy gold ETFs and you're not sure of the strength of the dollar because there's a clear sign that the dollar is weakening and you want to buy precious metal, this could be gold ETFs, silver ETFs, etc. You could use my referral link to Bamboo and it's down in the description below. Okay, I don't know which number this is, number 5, I guess, or number 6. How do I start investing if I only have 5,000 to 20,000 to invest every month? The what you need to understand is depending on the platform, and there are many platforms that starts with 5,000 as your investment. So if you have only 5,000 to invest, you can use multiple platforms. Now, platform like, I'm going to use this call example. Platform like Trove, Bamboo, RiseInvest, they all allow you to start with that small amount, 5,000. But you are restricted to the investment you can actually invest. If you're going to be buying Nigerian stock, 5,000, they will allow you to buy Nigerian stock with 5,000. But if you're going to invest in US stock, that's where it gets really, really tricky. They will not allow you invest in US stock with just 5,000. You need a minimum of $10 to invest in US stock or even ETFs in most of these platforms. And $10 is about 14 to 15,000 naira. So you should have that in mind that if you want to start investing with 5K, it's going to be in Nigerian stocks. But if you have higher amount around to 20K, obviously you can invest in US stocks. But if you have 5,000, you want to still invest in US stocks, you can be patient. But it says that you won't be investing every 3 months because 5,000 plus 5,000 plus 5,000 will give you 15,000. Then you can buy a US stock or US investment with $10. But if you're not patient to like do that way and you want to invest every month, you can invest in Nigerian stock. But like I've told you, the bit about not being diversified. If you're not diversified, you depending on one economy to do great. And that's not a good thing. No matter how patriotic you are, it's not a wise thing to depend on one country economy. Even US, that their economy is super strong, they do not depend on their economy. They depend on global economy. Some of them depend on the global economy to make sure their wealth is secured. So I think it's number 6 or number 7. I didn't number these questions. Number 6 or 7, should I borrow money to start a business? The answer is no. There's an hard answer, no. Yes, debt can be good or bad, depending on the country you live in. In a country where the economy is good for businesses, where the business thrive and there's no uncertainty around starting a business, obviously. Now, that's not the only thing. The country should have a friendly interest rate. So when they lend money to people, how much are they charging on interest? That's another thing you should understand. Nigeria fails in both sides. When you start a business, you first of all have uncertainty of the economy, how the economy will do. That's one thing. Number 2, the interest rate is terrible. If you see a platform willing to lend you money has 15% per month, you're very lucky. That's good. That's actually good. The only time you will lend 15 is when they know you are someone that actually pay a very good customer. Will I say that? They're able to lower their interest to 15. Because I don't understand how most businesses return 5 to 10%. That's the report. 5 to 10%. For some reason, loans that are lent to businesses are charged around 15% a month. I don't know how that's supposed to work. If you want to start a business, best to save. But if you're going to borrow money, it should be like a leverage. You already know about the business and you have been running this business for 5 years. And you're going to borrow money that you know you can cover up and pay. And you're going to be lending it from a reputable lending platform. You don't want to go and lend from where if you default, they will charge you a lot more. There are a lot of businesses or a lot of loaning platforms. If you default, you don't get charged. At least if you default like a week, there's no much charges on your payback. That's kind of loans you should be looking for. If you're going to be starting off a business, do not borrow. It just doesn't make any sense. If you look at the data, I think I will link the data that shows small businesses from different kind of business. I think supermarkets return 1 to 2%, wholesale 3 to 5%, then retail they return around I think 5 to 8%, then gadget store return around 30%, like depending on how many sales they make. Then we have agriculture, which basically they are not returning on a monthly basis, but it depends on how your business is actually your farm business is actually organized. There are businesses that they restock every month and they're able to return every month. Well, when it comes to agricultural business, when you invest, you're getting your return in 3 months. Even if you're returning every month, you must have invested 3 months prior before that investment return or before the ROI. So small businesses like this return 5 to 15%, let's say. And it's very difficult for you to find platforms that will lend as an interest of 15%. It's obvious you're going to be losing money, especially if you're new to the business. You're not going to immediately have customer running to your shop to buy things from you. You're not going to immediately understand the cost and all of that. In order for you to use debt, even though it's going to be difficult to use Nigeria debt because it's a very deadly one, I usually say avoid it as much as possible. You still need to know very, very, very well about the business you're actually doing. That means you must have been in the business 2 to 3 years. So you know what you're doing, and you have to be something you can cover up if whatever plan you have failed or did not actualize at the particular time, which is 1 month, because you're supposed to return in 1 month. You have installments. It's not always 1 month. But I'm going to use an example if it's 1 month, because the return I'm talking about is based on 1 month, and I'm going to compare it with debt of 1 month. The simple answer is no. Stay away from debt, especially Nigeria debt. When you want to starting up a business, stay away from debt. Okay, so the last question here is, what investment is safe in Nigeria right now? I want to do a video about this, but I guess I did not do it, but I wanted to do it. First of all, when you talk about investments, you should understand what safe means in investment. Every investment has its own risk. Okay, there's a spectrum of safe and there's also a spectrum of risky. If you're looking for safe investments in Nigeria, this is really tough. How would I explain it for someone that's a beginner? When you see stock investment, because personally, especially when you're young, I would not advise you to go and buy bonds. I just won't. Because first of all, the bonds does not even beat inflation. The highest bond I've seen in Nigeria is 22%. Inflation is above 24%, around there. It's better you go and save in fair money. They offer you higher interest in fair money than to buy Nigeria bond. That's me personally. I love risk, I guess. I have a very high risk appetite, maybe. If you're going to invest, personally, I would say ETF. Different kind of ETF. S&P 500. That's a very good one, because a lot of people are questioning the high growth ETFs, which somehow S&P 500 kind of falls into high growth because of the amount of tech stock that it has in its allocation. But that's story for another day. If you don't want that, if they are literally defensive ETF in a situation where tech stocks tend to not do well, that's like any recession, you have the defensive stock. But I don't go into that. This is a Nigeria investment, So this is to say investment in Nigeria. You need to understand that investment in Nigeria is not safe at all. No matter how it looks like, it's safe, it's not. Let's look at in the past 10 years. If you had invested in 2015, okay? If you are invested in 2015, let's say Zenith, you invested in Zenith back in, let's say UBA, you invested in UBA stock in 2015. Your stock would have gone up 1,359%. So that's basically 14x. You have done a 14x. That's, if you look at Naira, it's going to be like it's in a 14x, but in real value, you should also look 10 years ago. Naira has collapsed 640%. Okay, so if you're wondering why am I pulling this data, I actually did the research on my own. I took out a chart and I actually measured the chart by myself. So it's easy to read, technical analysis. You can just see it in the chart. You can go and pull up a chart. I don't need to, show you a research. It's in the chart itself. So you just go and look at the chart and match times back to 2015. Where was the UBA stock and where was Naira, the price of Naira? So you can do that on your own. But let me continue. Naira dropped almost 7x. Literally almost 7x. It would have been 7x if Naira was at 1,600, which it was like few months ago. It would have been 7x. But Naira right now is around 1,400 Naira. around that amount. So 6.4x, let's say 6.4x. People that invested in UBA stock saw their stock price go up to 14x, meaning 1,360%. But in real value, due to Naira collapse, that stock only went up 128%, meaning they only did a 2.28x, meaning if you had invested 10,000 naira at that time, you have only gained 12,800 naira in 2015 Naira valuation. We all know that Naira yesterday or Naira in 2015 is not the same as Naira now. Naira now has lost all its value, but Naira in 2015 is more than the Naira now. So in real value, your money just 2x the Naira in 2015. So this is one of the good returns actually. Zenith actually returned 359% from 2020, from 2015 till now. Meaning it actually lost value. You invested, but you actually lost value about 28%. Meaning you lost literally 2,830 naira. That's the money you lost in 2020. If you're not comparing the value in 2015. So we have Dangote Cement, the same thing. It only went up 343% for the past 10 years, which is terrible. You know, it's even worse than Zenith. But you're seeing Dangote Sugar, that's in return 18x, literally 1,714%. But if you look at real value, it actually just returned 183%. If you're looking for any banking platform you want to bank with, you can try Fair Money. They have high interest rates up to 24%, which beats inflation hands down. So you can use my referral link down in the description below. And if you're interested in buying dollar for high interest, RiseInvest is the best platform for you because you get 8% interest on your dollar. And if you're looking to invest in ETFs, whether you want to buy gold ETFs and you're not sure of the strength of the dollar because there's a clear sign that the dollar is weakening and you want to buy precious metal, this could be gold ETFs, silver ETFs, etc. You could use my referral link to Bamboo and it's down in the description below. That's the thing. Nigerian stocks tend to return high percentage, but whenever Naira drops, the valuation of the company drops. The value of the company drops. Okay? So the only good option here is UBA and Dangote. There's a high chance that if you invest now in the next 10 years, your investment's just 2x. If you're lucky enough, it's just going to 2x. That's not a good idea of investment when there are many other options out there, and I don't want to really dive into it. But if you really want to buy Nigerian stock, we could look into the options that I said were good options. That's UBA and Dangote Sugar, not Dangote Cement. Look at Dangote Sugar. But there's one that actually I was actually looking at recently, but I've not really done a deep dive into it. I was actually looking at investments that are going to do well regardless of, the economy of Nigeria, that might continue to do okay even if it's not well. I was thinking probably Splats or Seplats, I think, because they export oil, so there are going to be any revenue in dollar. So I was thinking about that, but I've never really researched the Seplats. I don't really know how to pronounce it. Seplats, I think. And others. Is it Ozone Mobile? Those oil company that's in Nigeria. I'm actually thinking of Dangote too. I'm actually thinking of Dangote too. But Boa food is one that actually got my attention. But the thing about Boa food is that I think they did not have PO for a very long time. Meaning, if you look at that chart, just go back to 2022. And I think I've been hearing about Boa food for a very long time. I'm surprised why I can't find information of it only since 2022. And since 2022, they have returned 17x. The return is 1,616%. That's more than any of the stocks that I talked about, Nigerian stock that I talked about, except for Dangote. And even that Dangote sugar returned that in 10 years. This particular stock I'm talking about returned this in 3 years. That's since 2022. So I'm actually thinking of doing a deep dive because as I'm a person that don't invest in individual stock, especially not in Nigeria stock to be precise. But I'm actually looking towards investing into some Nigeria stock, and maybe in another episode I'll talk about why I actually considering to buy Nigerian stock. Until then, you guys should like participate in the poll, and so I will know whether you guys will want me to actually talk more about this Boas food and do more dive into it to see whether it's a good stock to invest in or it's a sketchy stock. Because let's say we don't have enough past performance to know whether the stock will do well in the long run. And yes, past performance does not equal future performance, but it's also a good sign to know how a company has been performing for a very long time. So what I want you to take from this, if you guys were even planning to invest in Nigerian stock, if you're considering to actually buy Nigerian stock, you need to understand this. Nigerian stocks tend to return, good percentage. But the problem is that it's priced in Naira or is valued in Naira. So when Naira drop, the stock price, not the stock price will not necessarily drop, but the valuation drop because it's priced in Naira. So whatever the company owns, whether properties, whatever it is, it's in Naira valuation. So it's going to drop. And this will not necessarily affect the company. The company in the next 10 years might still thrive and still exist in Nigeria, but it's going to affect foreign investors. They might not want to invest in that company because they see that even if the company is doing well, the economy is not favoring its performance. If the economy is not doing well enough for them to bet or invest in our company. Just imagine Naira drops. So a share that's valued $1 before, because Naira drop now, the share will now be valued less. Even if the company has assets that's still valued high, most investors don't look at asset to evaluate a company. They look at your revenue and earnings. And if your revenue and earnings is actually in Naira and Naira drops, your company does not look attractive anymore, regardless of how much you actually own in assets. Because assets don't just devalue because Naira devalue. Naira devalue, but the asset still is, of value. That particular stock or investment may not likely innovate in the next 10 years, will not likely innovate in its next 20 years because they lack investment from both local and foreign investors. But Dangote Refinery is one that might actually, you know, get us to think different about Nigerian stocks and how maybe one of Nigeria company can actually be innovative. Dangote is planning to actually produce petroleum that can be sold to outside country, not just his business that he owns in Africa. is actually planning to export it out of Africa to the Western and even to the Middle East. So if he's able to get a refined petroleum product and export it, that's innovation. Regardless of whether other country has done it before, it's innovation in Nigeria because it's not something that is common for Nigeria to produce products that meet up to standards, global standards, because of the lack of, innovation. We do things in a way that the product is quality enough for Nigerians, but not quality enough or standard enough globally. The refinery will change things and we get to see some innovation in Nigeria, even if it's probably going to be only available for him, considering the fact that he is a billionaire. I think people will see this and will be inspired to do something different and innovate their product so it's quality enough, it meets global standards. Even if we're not able to get foreign investors, we're able to still produce at a cheap rate and export and get that foreign currency. We're diversifying across nations. That aside, I really enjoy doing this one. I really enjoy answering questions. If you hear a lot of if and all those pauses, is because I'm thinking straight in time. I did not prepare a script. It was just me answering questions. I only pulled up a rough estimate of the numbers that I was calling. I can't know the numbers of it. I'm actually thinking of doing this more often, not just for my birthday. I'll do it maybe once a month, probably once in 2 months, depending on how many comments I get. So like I said, by the time this audio is up, I'm pretty much sure I'll find a way to get comments or questions, even if it's off-site, where you basically can drop your questions and I will answer them when next I decide to answer a question. Like I said, I don't know if we're going to be doing this monthly, but till then, see you in the next one. I need to drink water. I just want to say thank you for getting to the end of this episode. And I hope you learned something new in this episode and something practical in this episode. Follow and tune in for the next episode.